Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Rats on Film, a show where a bunch of film rats talk about and rank movies. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about one of our favorite actors, Ryan Gosling. On the show with me today, I have big Ryan Gosling fan, Madolyn.
Hello, excited to be making my rat debut.
Tim, who is available.
I also love Ryan Gosling, let me be clear. And I am also a rat, so yes, I fit.
And I'm your host, Xander. Welcome to the show, everybody. Yeah, I mean... So, we've been, as a group, workshopping ideas of lists we want to talk about. There's obvious ones of film franchises we all love, but then we want to do a couple weird, specific ones. And this was one where I was like, I really want to do a Ryan Gosling list. And you, Madolyn, were like, I love Ryan Gosling. Let's do it.
I love Ryan Gosling. I have been saying, and I just think that was the best idea for me to start off with.
And how could he not be? The people's fave.
The people's fave. I think that's proven in the last year.
So what we did was we went through, the three of us, and we chose a selection of movies that we're going to rank purely based on his performance. It was interesting to try and come up with the list because there's actually a lot of really good movies in his filmography. And on this list, for me, two of them are all-time movie faves for me. Like top 10 probably of all time, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I have also one that is my favorite of all time, but also one of the ones that introduced me to him was at a point my favorite of all time as well. It might have dropped out since then, but yeah, I really have loved him for a very long time.
I also, no, there is, we don't want to reveal things too early, but there's also one of these movies is also one of my all-time favorites. I don't know where exactly it ranks, but I'm going to guess it's the same movie that the other two will.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
All right, you guys want to get into it? The first one on the list, we're going to just go in chronological order that they came out on. So the first one we're going to be talking about today is The Notebook from 2004.
I used to take this out from the video shop literally every second week, maybe, and cry to it. But I feel like The Notebook, it's what made me love him in the first place, and where I first sort of saw that the way that he performs is that he is cheeky, he's cute, and he's committed to the bit in every way. And in this one, he's committed to the romance. I think The Notebook was made at a time when people were making romances seriously and taking them seriously. And you can really see that. And the way that he sort of transitions from that young, cheeky, little, handsome, clean-shaven little boy to the older, more scruffy, scraggly, like more weathered, more worn Noah, as he's just waited for Ali to come back to him this whole time. It just is really physical, but it's really emotional. And in that movie, I think I could do without the old people, but it's what the part that gets me the most and that has the most emotion for me is Ryan's performance, especially. Like, you're like, it's raining and they're crying and he's saying, I've been waiting for you my whole life, but it's because he's taking it so seriously and giving it so much that it's actually, you're moved by him. And it's not just trying to make you, I mean, it is trying to make you a tearjerk, but it's because of him that it gets you there.
Yeah, that is an issue with this movie, talking about Ryan specifically, is that there's another actor who has stolen some of his scenes, essentially. I came to this one really late. I think this is the kind of movie that people took for granted when it came out. Looking at the state of romance movies today, these streaming movies, these direct-to-TV movies, they're made very cheaply. There's not a lot of thought put into the casting, the cinematography, all these things. And this movie, everyone here, cast and crew, is, really committed, exactly like you say. And I think Ryan Gosling is a huge part of that, and his chemistry with Rachel McAdams. I mean, this is definitely Ryan in charm mode.
Yeah, I'm with you. I came to this one kind of late as well. And it was one of those things where I mean, this is the one on the list of the movies we saw today that I've seen, that I saw last, I guess, because I even saw Barbie before I saw this one.
Really?
Yeah. And you said chemistry, Tim. When I went through and thought about what I thought about all these movies and what I thought about him in all of these movies, I think he has chemistry with every character in every movie, whether it's a romantic character, whether it's just another person he has on screen. And I think that that's such a unique quality where people talk about chemistry between actors, and sometimes it'll be like, oh, this actor and this actor have chemistry, but you don't necessarily say they have chemistry with everybody they work with or everybody on screen. And there's something about him when he's doing scene work with other actors where it always plays really well for me. And I think that always elevates the films.
I fully agree with you. And not in this one, but it does go to show in other movies that we'll talk about how he does have a lot of recurring co-stars. And it happens with them. He has incredible chemistry, but with, like you said, I think literally anyone. And in this one, he's able to show that really well, again, across playing multiple different ages.
And one thing I think that will come up a lot here is sort of Ryan's role in the movie, but also his role outside the movie in terms of promoting the movie and being at award shows and stuff.
You can tell that he's just such a genuine guy and that he will put his heart into promoting anything and he'll do anything for the bit.
You really do have to respect the commitment to just the whole film and the whole process. All right, so obviously, as with all the films that start first, the de facto number one on the list so far. We're going to move on to the second movie we're going to be talking about today. Crazy Stupid Love from 2011 plays a character called Jacob Palmer. And another romance movie, but immediately a different mode than The Notebook.
Yeah, The Notebook from the start is very genuine and very cheeky and very cute, but in Crazy Stupid Love, he's immediately a dick from the start, which is another mode of his comedy and of his romance that I love. I think this movie has spawned so many gifs of his face for very specific reasons.
There's such good ones.
They're very funny. And my favorite moment of comedy pretty much ever is the David Lindhagen scene at the end of that movie. And I don't know if he breaks in it or if that was scripted, the laugh, but it just brings it straight to the top. It's hilarious.
It's amazing. It's an amazing scene from the movie, just the way that the movie builds to that. Yeah. But then the payoff being him laughing at the situation is just great.
Yeah, we're talking about different modes, and he is sort of in dick mode here. But he has a very interesting dick mode where it's sort of like a too cool for school aloofness. And I feel like he has a sort of persona that he puts on in his interviews that is sort of similar to this, where it's almost like a parody of like a movie star. And it's interesting to think about that in terms of his character in this movie, where he's a player. He's got, these relationships down to a science. He doesn't really care about these people, but it's sort of a front for how he really feels. And, he does care, but it's an interesting dimension that he's playing with.
Again, talking about the chemistry here, you talked about recurring co-stars. It's the first time he's worked with Emma Stone, and their chemistry is great. They don't even have that many scenes together, to be honest, in the movie, but the few scenes that they do have together, you really buy their relationship. And him and Steve Carell have such amazing scenes together in this movie.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of the movie. Like, him and Steve Carell together are just a comedic genius duo. And like you were saying, like, you see his persona in the movie, you see him as Steve Carell's character sees him, which is like the coolest guy on earth. He's like trying to get back out there again. But you see those layers of him. It's just those complete levels and the comedic timing that he has, that he just knows when to pull the punch and when to hit hard.
And the other thing, in terms of talking about Ryan's filmography, most of the movies we're going to talk about here, he is like the main character, but this is a movie where he's still a very prominent role, maybe the second biggest role, but it is a movie with a very big cast and a lot of different storylines. And he's not necessarily the main guy, which is, Steve Carell, really. But he is the one that you remember most. He is the scene stealer, which is something that I think is pretty consistent across all his movies.
For sure. All right, so where do we want to rank this one compared to The Notebook?
I forgot about that for the podcast.
I love The Notebook, but I would put this one above it. It embodies Ryan's comedic element, which is a really strong part of his career right now.
It's funny because I think we'll talk about it a little bit more with some of the other movies, but I don't think everybody views him as an elite comedic actor.
Which I don't understand.
I think there's I don't know if it's large, but there's a population of people who view him as like Drive and Place Beyond the Pines and those roles.
Yeah.
And he absolutely has that element to his game. But it's crazy that some people are like, oh, he's funny.
We are ranking here Ryan within the movies, not necessarily the movies themselves. But yeah, in a weird way, even though he's maybe a bigger part of The Notebook, he shines through a bit more in Crazy Stupid Love. So yeah, I would probably put that above The Notebook also.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm kind of exactly with you, Madolyn, where it's the comedy element is something I really value about him. And even in movies that aren't comedies, the fact that in certain scenes he can bring that element to it. And I love that in this movie, because this movie, it's definitely a comedy, but there are serious moments, and there's a large amount of drama in this movie as well. And it's great to have his ability to punctuate scenes and, like you said, steal scenes. All right, so Crazy Stupid Love, number 1 on the list. Notebook, number 2. Next up on the list, The Nice Guys, 2016. This is one of my movies. That's one of the two. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't know what it is about this movie. Everything about it just kind of hits for me. Love the period piece. Love, again, the comedy in it. It's so funny. And specifically, Ryan is so funny in it. Something that I don't think happens enough in comedy movies now is physical comedy. In this movie specifically, he has such a great physicality to him in scenes. The scene where he gets his arm broken, him falling all the time. Like, there's so many great moments. Him in the bathroom stall, dropping the cigarette in his underwear, trying to juggle all the things. There's a great element. And in film, I feel like you want to watch things be funny as well as listen to things be funny, right? So I think he really, really excels in this movie because of that.
I fully agree. I think we've seen sort of the stage be set for his comedic levels, and this one just takes it all the way up, turning up the physicality to 150%. He is hilarious. I want to give a quick shout out to his 2 Australian co-stars in that movie, Russell Crowe and Gary Rice. I think they are pitch perfect alongside him, but he just elevates it to the next level. His delivery again of lines, like every single day in my head, I'm like, no, I didn't, Janet. Like, so good. But I agree. I think the physicality in this is what takes it to that incredible level. And I went into this movie knowing that he was a funny guy.
Sure.
So did you, because we watched all this other stuff and we loved that about him. But again, I think he surprised a lot of people when that movie came out, and it has become a reference for a lot of people to go back to and to see where his comedy has really taken it to the top. Yeah,
you talk about Gary Rice and Russell Crowe, again, to shout out chemistry with all his co-stars.
Exactly.
Even a child actor. Gary is incredible in this movie. I love her in this movie. But the dynamic between the two of them is unreal. It doesn't make any sense, and yet it's so perfect for the movie, and it works so well.
Yeah, he works with everyone, and it just is an incredible pairing, those 3.
It comes out with both of them, but there's another dimension to Ryan's performances that we haven't gone into yet, which is sort of this sense of childishness or maybe childlikeness. You know, he's a girl dad here, and his daughter is really kind of the adult in the relationship. Sure. And then, you know, he's being a detective with Russell Crowe, and he has no idea what the fuck he's doing. And he's very, there's a definite innocence here, which is perfect for the character and the story. He's kind of just like a bit of a man-child, really.
Bumbling his way along.
Yeah. And he's so clumsy. I mean, yeah, we talk about physicality. Like, yeah, obviously he's amazing at delivering these comedic lines, but so much more is happening with his physicality and his clumsiness. And it's really quite impressive.
He has that face. You believe that he's stupid. You just believe that he's that dumb.
He's stupid, but he's so lovable. He's like a little puppy dog, really.
Yeah.
Holland March, one of my all-time favorite movie characters.
Yeah, sure.
For sure. Like, no question.
Yeah.
Make Nice Guys 2, please.
Please.
Seriously.
I watch this movie so much, so often, and it's always funny to me. And I think that is also a testament to the performances in it, where even though I know the jokes and the lines and things like that, the delivery of them is so on point that they still make me laugh. All right, where are we putting this one on the list?
This is straight to the top for me, personally.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, easily one of my all-time favorite Ryan movies, as well as one of my all-time favorite movies. It's a great one.
Well, yeah, I mean, the movie itself is so rewatchable, but definitely if we're talking, you know, if we're ranking Ryan specifically, like this is just one of his iconic roles, I think.
All right, so moving on to another movie from the same year. Big year for him, and big year for him for me. La La Land 2016.
Straight to the top.
So this is the one that I assume everyone was saying when they said that there was one. That's one of their all-time favorite movies.
Yeah, it's an all-timer for sure. But we aren't ranking the movies.
Correct.
We're ranking Ryan's performance.
Yes.
But this is also Ryan's best performance.
100%. This one, like everything that we've been saying, comes together and shines through in this role. It has the comedy, it has the romance, which I love. It has his musical talent, which I also love. Talking about his comedy, I actually think one of his funniest scenes is in this movie, and it's the Iran scene.
Iconic.
And the little conversation afterwards, which has a bit of sunglass work that I think must have inspired Barbie as well. He has the romance, he has the charm, he has the comedy, he has the dramatic chops, and he has the musical talent, and it's just everything all in one. And I don't think there's a movie better than it.
Yeah, it encompasses all these modes that we've talked about and we'll continue to talk about. It has the aloofness too, like him, you know, the bit of the too cool for school, certainly in the Iran scene. And this is I think his most interesting character, his obsession with jazz. And, you know, sometimes it gets to the point where he's almost kind of annoying about it. And he's a complex character. But at the end of the day, he's passionate about it. And that's something that is relatable about him and makes us love that character is his passion.
Yeah, there's something to the watchability of somebody on screen when you're talking about actors and movie stars and all that kind of stuff. And the thing for Ryan specifically that strikes me the most in this movie is the ending of La La Land is one of the most heartbreaking movie endings of all time for me.
I agree.
Every time I watch it, it really, really gets to me. And what I think is insane about it when I think about it is that it's all delivered with no dialogue. It's a purely visual story being told to you through this dream ballet and this shot reverse shot of the two of them in the jazz club at the end. And the fact that you can get so much from just that, it's such a testament to him as an actor that he can have that powerful of an emotional impact on you with just a couple of looks.
I agree, and I was going to sort of bring that back as well to, again, we have chemistry with Emma Stone, a classic co-star for him. At the end, so much of the emotion comes from him, in my opinion.
It's a big moment, and it stays with you for a long time, and it's definitely one of the reasons that the movie is so impactful in general, I think.
Every time I watch that movie, I find more in it, especially in the performances and Ryan's, but I just love it more and more, and I just wish I could rate it more than 5 stars every time I watch it. But
5 stars plus a heart.
5 stars, yeah, plus a heart.
Yeah, I mean, again, all time, two back to back, 2016. 2016 just an all time year for me, I guess.
For you,
specifically
yeah.
for Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies of all time, and I mean, we're about to say, but the favorite Ryan performance of all time.
Yeah, it's at the top for me.
We don't need to go through the list. Straight to the top.
Straight to the top.
Put him up there. Go back in time. Give him the Oscar.
Agree.
We're going to change gears now a little bit. We're going to talk about Blade Runner 2049, 2017. Some people kind of view Ryan in the serious mode. There are certain movies that we didn't include on this list for various reasons. You know, we kind of picked our favorites. We also tried to pick a range of stuff. We also tried to pick stuff that we knew some of these things we'll probably talk about in the future on other lists and things like that. This one felt like it had to be on here as a showcase of that side of him as a performer, because he is somebody who has a lot of range and brings a lot to the table in different movies.
Yeah, this is an important element of his tool bag, is his ability to do these very stoic, brooding characters that don't have a lot of dialogue. In a way, it's not that far removed from his comedic performances that we're talking about. You know, we talk about The Nice Guys, the physicality of that, or we talk about La La Land, that final scene. He's able to accomplish so much with just his eyes. I mean, a lot of times he's not even changing up his facial expression in Blade Runner 2049 and in a lot of these movies, The Place Beyond the Pines, First Man, and of course I feel like we have to talk a little bit about Drive, which is one of his most iconic roles. And Drive is similar to Blade Runner 2049 in a lot of ways with his character. Mysterious, and he has a great jacket too. But there's this front he's putting up, He's got this front that he doesn't have any emotions, but there's really a lot of emotional turmoil within him.
For me, one of the big things with this one is the ability to carry a scene. This movie is really slow paced and drawn out and long scenes and long sequences and stuff like that. And I think a lot of importance is put on Ryan to sort of keep the scenes interesting from a visual perspective and keep viewers engaged with what you're saying, not a lot of emotion and not a lot of flashy performance stuff. And I think that this is a testament to his ability to sort of be subtle and still be really effective at getting an audience to be hooked into his character.
I think with this one, as we're sort of talking about it by itself, but also as a placeholder for other movies of a similar kind, like Drive and Place Beyond the Pines, it did introduce where I was introduced to him, and a lot of girls my generation were introduced to him as a romantic lead. A lot of men have attached themselves to him as this serious, like dramatic, broody, moody kind of cool jacket wearing lead. And it's just a testament to his really broad appeal, is that he can capture audiences from different genres and bring them together and respect his performance and deliver a performance that fits in each genre.
And again, we talk about physicality, and that's shown up in a few ways, being clumsy in The Nice Guys and dancing in La La Land. Here we have him sort of doing some action, which he's, more than capable of.
Do we think we want to put it above or below The Notebook?
I vote yes, above The Notebook.
I think I'll give it to you, but I don't think I can put it above Crazy Stupid Love.
That's where I'm at, Madolyn. I think that's probably where it would sit for me. Where would you put it? Would you put it higher?
I'm fine being outvoted. Yeah, I would put it higher. I think sort of the serious Ryan is an important dimension, so I would probably put it like closer to the top. Obviously, it's not number 1 or maybe even number 2, but maybe number 3.
You're not gonna get it past The Nice Guys for me.
Yeah.
So okay, then we'll leave it. La La Land number 1, Nice Guys number 2, Crazy Stupid Love number 3, Blade Runner number 4, The Notebook number 5. And for the last movie we're going to talk about today, for Ryan Gosling rules, Barbie. Barbie now has the honor of being the first movie that we've talked about twice on the show.
Very early on for that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's an incredible movie. We said this already about him. He has this scene stealer quality to him where there's so many great performances going on in this movie, and there's so many great elements and so much great filmmaking. But the scenes that he's in, he really, really does steal the show.
100%.
This is another one in sort of the Ryan man-child canon. I mean, probably the best example. I mean, Ken is basically a kid. He's like a little boy, and he, discovers patriarchy. I feel like a lot of his funniest scenes are when we come back to Barbie Land, when it's become Kendom and the Kens have taken over, and he's really leaning into all of these, classic male stereotypes, and he's really overdoing them.
I think with Ken, it's incredible writing from Greta Gerwig, of course, but I don't think anyone could do it better than him. And it goes back to the fact that he will just always commit 100% to the bit. And you can tell that he's taking it seriously, but he's embodied Ken to that level. Everything that comes out of him is just the Kenergy flowing through him. I think Ken took over him. Again, we have an incredible musical performance.
2 dream ballets and 2 movies on the list.
Yeah.
You don't see those very often these days, and he's in 2 of them.
2 of them, yeah.
It has such a well-rounded comedic performance from him. We have physicality in the costumes and the way that he moves, him sliding off the truck in the giant coat. Just, it's so goofy and so out there, but it fits the vibe of Barbie so well. Like a world that very specifically is Barbie and only really works for Barbie. And then the actors, including Ryan, do such a great job of living in that world and making it feel like a real place.
I think Ken could, again, very easily come across as very whiny, very upsetting to a lot of people. And I think a lot of people can see that he did steal a lot of the scenes. He put the blonde wig on and he just couldn't go back.
It's kind of an overused phrase, but he really understood the assignment here. Like, he knew exactly the tone that Greta Gerwig was going for. He takes himself very seriously, but that it's like over serious to the point where it's completely ridiculous.
And I think he also does know and often does defer to Margot, and he knows that she's the main character in the movie and that she is Barbie, and he embodies how Ken wants to lift Barbie up, but he also has that element of just laying low, but it never takes over from Ryan's perspective. From the way that he's performing, he never wants to overshadow Margot, and I think you can still see that.
I want to shout out to his facial expressions specifically in this movie. There's some great scenes of just him looking at another Ken in anger.
Yes.
That are just incredible.
Yeah. And again, it goes back to having chemistry with literally everyone. Like, there's multiple Kens in this movie, and all of them he just has a different energy with. And like you said, like the anger of him looking at them, looking at Barbie, and it's just an entirely different emotion from him.
All right, where are we putting this one on the list?
I think 2.
2?
Yeah.
That might be a little too high for me.
Yeah, I honestly would probably go 3. I said 2 like I was really astounded, but I just can't.
It's not that far.
Yeah, it's
you
not
can't
that
put
far.
in that far.
Yeah, I just can't put it above The Nice Guys for me.
Yes, now that you say that, when I remember that Nice Guys was at number 2, like, you couldn't have had Barbie without the Nice Guys.
Yeah, I agree. I would put The Nice Guys above this, but that's no discredit to Ryan as Ken.
I'm happy to slot it at number 3.
Are we all happy with that?
Yes, I think we're all agreed.
All right, so the rats on Ryan, objectively in our opinion list, starting from the bottom: The Notebook, Blade Runner 2049, Crazy Stupid Love, Barbie, The Nice Guys, and the big cheese Ryan performance of the show, La La Land.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, he's just an incredible actor. He's in so many great movies, a lot of movies that I really love and that are all-time favorites for me. All right, well, thanks for listening, everybody, to us talk about Ryan Gosling. Big fans. This is a show where we just like to talk about movies that we like and people who make movies that we like. So kind of exciting to talk about just an actor that's a favorite performer of ours. So thanks for listening. Be sure to tell a friend about the show. Follow us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and follow us on Letterboxd, Rats on Film Pod. We'll post this list and all the future lists that we make on there. And we'll be back at some point to talk about another actor. Bye, everybody.